people should be registered with SACNAS. And that is that we are living in the time of huge skepticism about science and scientists. And there's a lot of misinformation which is circulated without any kind of stamp of approval, without the basis of research, without integrity. And it should make a difference when a scientist speaks. There should be some credibility in that information. So I think that I would encourage people to register. I know you can't lock up scientists who are practicing without being registered, but even though the SAPS is working with you. But I think that it's a very important thing in this era that we live in.
Thank you, Yancy, for the comment.
Just a quick question to both the panelists. If I look in this era where we work at the nature of work done by both scientists and engineers, I see many of the areas, and I think of nanotechnology, I think of energy, I think of water, big data for that matter, that there seems to be quite a strong convergence in terms of the type of work done by both engineers and scientists in these areas. And my question then becomes, does it still make sense to have two different professional registrations, if in both instances anyway just to protect the public? Or should one start thinking about a more generic professional registration for science, engineering and technology? And won't that solve the interdisciplinary issues as well? Thanks.
Thank you. I just have a short sort of tongue-in-cheek question, but I would like your opinion on it. Given all the reasons you've given for the necessity of regulation, do you think it would be necessary to start regulating social sciences as well, more specifically economists and politicians?
Okay. Mine is a concern, and I hope Jessica would be able to address the DSI as the main funder to SACNAS, and is also funding science practitioners in the country. Isn't it maybe time that the DSI itself starts limiting the amount of funding that they give to non-registered scientists to encourage registration? I'm saying this because it doesn't make sense to have nurses and doctors having to register in order to practice. Each and every year they must register. However, with scientists it looks like there's something special. We try to give some concession, which for me doesn't make sense. It just has to be a standard thing. The first point of departure in this thing could be that the DST or DSI starts looking into limiting the funding that they give to non-registered scientists with the intention of completely cutting off in future, so that we encourage those that haven't registered yet to practice a little bit and register. So I would like your take on that one. Is it difficult maybe to encourage the DSI because maybe you are funded by them, or is it something that you can take it up with them? Thank you.
I think it's a very interesting idea. We could definitely take it up by them. They do give us project funding, but our day-to-day operations are actually funded by registration fees.
Prof B, the other questions?
Shall I endeavour on the social scientist? Actually, there are many people in those areas that are regulated by their own type of professions that they belong to. If you're a journalist, often you are a member of a certain fraternity. If you are a certain social worker, you've got to be registered. So I think most people are registered in some way. Imagine a world where everybody who graduates must belong to some kind of regulatory body. I find this a fascinating concept. Let's investigate that. So we become the policeman of the policeman. So it's I think if we, and I will go say this just once, and that is, if we actually tell everybody in our country what is the nature of our constitution, a lot of these things may not be necessary. people will live up to what that document says, rather than somebody having to police them to do the right thing. But I agree, we must be registered. In terms of the nature of the work and whether we should have a single registration body, if you look at the work that engineers do, it is not the same type of work that scientists actually do. The approach is different. The kind of spaces in which, or the ways in which we approach a problem will be very different. Our qualifications that we have are also regulated by, they are accredited by the Engineering Council. And they have very specific outcomes, very specific type of things it has to adhere to, which are very different from what natural sciences type qualification is. There are many overlaps, like the lifelong learning, like there must be some teaching on ethics, some teaching on the sociology of science, and all of those kind of things must be included. But right now, I don't think we're quite ready for that. Although we work in the same space, we're not quite doing exactly the same thing yet. If we say that, maybe we should say that nurses are doing similar things to scientists, like the biology scientists. Depends on where they work. So I think it is something worthwhile to investigate, but it will be quite a while before we get there. Yeah, we all have different strengths, and perhaps the answer to this is, if I'm an engineer and I do project work where I need to do a lot of project management. A few years ago, SACP-CMP insisted that you must also register as a project manager. Otherwise, you cannot run projects, even though that's one of the tasks that an engineer would do. So I think there are lots of these bodies that are being formed and finding their feet, finding ways to deal with the problematics of the society that they have to regulate, these different professions. And maybe in 10 years' time, I think we'll be ready to have another conversation.